Growing up near Williamsburg, I can recall many visits with my family that created in me an appreciation for the colonial-style architecture, coin corners, columns, curved palladium windows. When my father planted a church in Virginia Beach while I was away at college, I immediately liked the name he chose for the new church, Colonial Baptist Church. 34 years ago, September of 1986, we launched our first worship service with 28 complete strangers in attendance. Well, by the grace of God, 6 months later, 56 believers officially joined Marcia and me, and we united around a doctrinal statement, bylaws, and that same official church name, Colonial Baptist Church. I like to tease that we were starting a family franchise, and for $25 you could have one too. Well, 10 years later, I began traveling and preaching in countries like India and Africa. And in both countries, I realized fairly quickly that the name of our church was creating confusion and raising questions like, why would you name your church after Great Britain's colonial expansion? Are you in any way related to England? In fact, at several rallies, I needed to follow my host's introduction by explaining before I began preaching that the term colonial was an architectural style, not a statement on imperialism. In the audiences, I could see them immediately relaxing and smiling. I remember in Africa, it didn't help that my last name, Davey, meant peanut butter in Swahili, and so introductions were often quite an adventure, as you can imagine. Well, since that time, and with the continued global expansion of our church ministries, our name continues to create confusion and raise questions. In the last 20 years especially, Colonial has experienced really the global outreach and the unique blessing of the Lord through radio, internet streaming of our services. Our sermons are watched and listened to in numerous languages globally. It isn't unusual for us to receive questions about our colonial name, as well as our relationship to Baptist denominations and infighting and controversies that take place from time to time. People wonder if we're related to the Southern Baptists or Independent Baptists or Free Will Baptists or whatever. This past February, before COVID arrived, our elder team began discussing a name change for our church. A name change that would better communicate our identity in Christ and our joy in following Him. We wanted a name that communicated our loyalty to biblical doctrine rather than a Baptist denomination. An identity unrelated to a period in American history or a style of architecture. We simply prayerfully desired a church name that would focus attention on our perspective and our joy in belonging to Jesus Christ, our shepherd. Over the past 20 years, the Lord has allowed us to launch what has now become a special family of ministries around the name Shepherd. Shepherds 360 is a national conference held on our campus annually that allows us to encourage and equip church leaders. We have the Shepherds Network. It's a growing network of church plants, daughtered or revitalized by our church, funded in part through our Grace Promise Giving. In fact, you are aware more than likely that we recently reached our goal of planting and or revitalizing 20 churches by 2020. Thank the Lord for that goal reached. Of course, we have Shepherds Theological Seminary. It's now a fully accredited graduate school anchored on our campus, partnering with our church in fulfilling our vision of training a generation of servant leaders for Christ and ultimately planting churches around the world. Shepherds International is our newest venture, This is our own missions agency where our church mobilization office serves as the headquarters for the aiding and sending and organizing of global workers around the world. So moving forward, our prayer is that our new church name will be associated worldwide without any confusion with our allegiance to the great shepherd of the sheep, the good shepherd, Jesus Christ. We want our church name to reflect, with that little apostrophe, our public testimony to belonging to Him. We will become the shepherd's church.